Guys, today we're going to take a look at the 2.3 Practice C worksheet, go through some of these answers. So for number one, remember when we're solving the literal equations, we're just still using our inverse operations to help us to get whatever letter it is they're asking for. So number one, they're asking us to solve for m. So before I can solve for m, I have to get rid of that r in the denominator. In order to do that, I need to multiply it by the f sitting on the opposite side. Now I have m and v squared both being multiplied since there's no signs in between them. In order for me to break that multiplication, I am going to simply show that I would divide by whatever v squared was. That cancels those. So I have f times r divided by v squared. That is what m equals. Number two can be a little bit trickier because it's asking us to solve for a. The problem that we encounter here is that I have two terms that both have an a, neither of them being like terms because one has a b and the other has a c. So we have to factor this problem to begin with. So when I factor, I'm taking out the a because that's what's in common between both of those terms. And then inside my parentheses, I write what I have left over. Now that I have it factored, this is saying a times the quantity of b minus c. In order to get a by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by that quantity of b minus c. I didn't break it apart. I left it as one term. Okay, looking at number three. So on number three here, they're asking us to solve for h. So that means I want all of my h's on one side of my equation, everything else to go to the other. Just as if I were solving any regular equation, I need to begin by using the distributive property. Okay, so now you see I have a bunch of h's and j's. I want everything that is an h on one side, everything that's a j on the other side. So I just rewrote, and now I'm going to move this j with the other j. Okay, so using those inverse operations, flipping things around as if we had variables on both sides. Now to get the h by itself, I divide everything by -3. So h is 5j minus 7 divided by -3. Okay, so that works through the first three problems. Now looking at the bottom three problems. So on number four, they're asking us to solve for r. I'm going to start this just like I did number one. I need to get rid of that number in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply the v by the 2. Multiplication is commutative, so that's going to allow me to rearrange these terms here. Since I'm solving for r, I don't like to see it in the middle of the problem. So I just did a little bit of rearranging. Now r is what I want to get by itself. So in order for me to break this multiplication chain, if you will, that we have going on, I need to use division. But I'm not dividing up the pi and the h. So I'm going to show that I'm multiplying by both of those terms. By leaving them multiplied, I haven't changed that value. So I have 2v divided by pi times h, and that equals r squared. They're asking us just to solve for r. The inverse of squaring a term is to square root it. Okay, so our answer is the square root of 2v divided by pi times h. Number 5, solving for s. That's where my s is, so I want to move that pi r squared to the other side. It was added, so I'm going to subtract it. Similar to what I did on the other side, I'm trying to solve for the little s. So I'm going to divide everything by the pi and the r. So I have s minus pi r squared divided by pi r. That gives me the little s that I was trying to solve for. And then finally, number 6, I'm trying to solve for the r. So this negative 6 needs to start off and move to the other side. So since it was negative on the left, when I move it to the right, it will become positive. I want to get the r out of the denominator. So I'm going to again swoop it around and multiply it by that q plus 6. Now that q plus 6 is, I'm keeping it grouped together. So I'm not actually doing the math. I'm just showing that I would be multiplying by the q plus 6. These are now being multiplied. To break that multiplication, we need to use division. So q divided by q plus 6, gives me my answer of r. I hope you found this helpful through working through these challenging problems.